Okay.
Hello.
Hey, hey everybody. This is Care Bear Karen with Care Bear Bird of Cards, and I have my good buddy friend uh, Jeff with Tarot Ask Backwards. And this was like a really kind of like a last minute throw together here. We were actually going to do it yesterday, but guess what? We had miscommunication.
Yes, hence
No, yes,
hence the genesis of the show. So
right? Yeah. Jeff, was asking me some stuff about Mercury retrograde, and then he's like, "You need to do a live." And I was like, "Well, I was going to do cat reads," and then after a while, I was like, "I really don't feel like doing this today."
and I
Went
was
down a
upset there
Mercury
wasn't
retrograde hole.
Saturday. I was upset. Yeah. I was like, damn.
I wasn't in the right headspace for Catterday, but Catterday will be back more than one time because I had so much fun. And actually, I'm going to call it Catterday, but make it known that all pets are welcome. I need to get a dog. Like, I need to get her dog tarot deck. We've got I can see Miss Moonlight's here, and we've got Hershey.
Hey Hershey.
Hi. How are you? Well, so right now we have Mercury has been in retrograde for about a week, and probably the show stemmed from, uh, I mean, of course, like, can planets make us do things? No, not really. But I mean, we're all made of energy, and just where, depending on where, what house and everything it falls in, we can, you know, feel certain reactions, certain feelings, certain wonder why we're going through certain things or we're thinking certain things. And with the retrograde, it really just helps us. Um, it's all about don't do anything new. Just reflect. What do you need to revise? What do you need to revisit? Uh, and, that can prompt some, shadow work, or just to be a little bit uh, more cautious about, which, I mean, we should do these things anyways. And, a lot of these problems are already there. They just are coming out right now. It's like, don't be careful about your passwords. Be careful about certain things. They say not to sign like contracts, have surgeries, and stuff like that. I mean, but just, I mean, we can't stop our life for everything just because it's Mercury retrograde. Just, use your discretion. And if it's life, if it's urgent, yeah, have the surgery. You've got to, if you have nowhere to live and you need that house that day, sure, whatever, like, do it. I'm not, yeah, it's not, I mean, I don't look at astrology that way, like, for us to be, uber superstitious about everything. I mean, that's no way to live. It's just a relationship that we have with the sky and everything that, happened to give us our own cosmic energy that day that we were born, that time. And so, we just kind of reflect and mirror it back to each other. So, but anyways, the dates of this retrograde, first off, it's in Virgo right now. And I don't know if y'all know that Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So I know this kind of probably is painful in the way that, delays, mishaps to plans. Virgo is very organized usually. Not, there's, of course, there's exceptions to every rule, but that, typically like order and plans. And these make you evaluate, stop, and have to kind of let go of control and just go with the flow. Sometimes that's all you can do. And then it switches over on, I believe, August 14th to Leo. So Leo, during that time, um, we might feel it more in like our actual like communications and relationships with people. And we kind of gotta have to watch our impulses to say or feel certain things, feel a certain way about it. Maybe take a breather before you, roar if you don't like something, and regroup and just be careful about what you say. That I find that's a big deal during retrograde. Um, Jeff, you want to talk about like kind of how your week has been?
Yeah, like I just noticed that even before the retrograde, the 2 days before, and I don't know when this past week it started, if the retrograde preceded the whole week of Monday, but the it's like words that you come out with literally are getting twisted, like
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, and it's almost like the manner in which you say them becomes almost as important as what you say, because people aren't looking at things literally, they're almost looking at them through the microscope of precision, like with this whole Virgo Mercury thing. It's like you don't get the sense that what would be taken ordinarily as literal before is now becoming almost like something that you didn't mean to come out a certain way comes out a certain way, and then
Yeah.
someone ends up yanking the plug from you. So this was starting as early as like middle of last week, and then like I know Virgo is very methodical and exacting and like good at indexing stuff. So is the actual in a retrograde, if it's in that planet, is that planet like sort of shifted upside down in a way in terms of how like our imprint is affected? In other words, like, you know what I mean? Like our personal imprint that's different from anyone else's in the world. Is it like, are some people going to be more affected by a retrograde depending upon where their planet is at that time? You know what I
Where,
mean?
yeah, what house it affects. Um, just one quick second though.
Okay.
Uh, hey, Hershey, I want to add you. Like, I don't have another device. I can't do it from StreamYard. Um, but I know that there are like some people in here who have wrenches that can add moderators for me too. So, I mean, I want to say maybe Miss Moonlight, because you were in there that night that I believe you were there with the Tarot Destroyer, whoever he was, came in. Lord, I know why that show got attention was because it was the Witchy Cat Tarot. Like it probably those hashtags got him. He's like, whoa, let me go in here and up to full. So, anyways, uh, but I can do that, Hershey too. Like if you want to add like any comments or anything, I'll have to go look and see if I've got any comments from you, and I can add you that way because I haven't done it. Like I don't have a second device to be able to do it from YouTube right now since I'm on StreamYard. Um, I just handed out some for like the first time ever, like the other night after the tarot person. Yeah, we won't bring too much attention to that. That was probably kind of a Mercury retrograde moment.
Yeah, like that.
It made
Yeah.
me feel confused, and just ruffled my feathers a little bit. But I was just like, okay, y'all, I can't have the comments pulled up. I've just got to pretend that they're not there, and then I mean, eventually they were able to take care of it and they went away. But anyways, I digress. To answer your question, you know, I mean, okay, so the planets aren't really doing anything differently per se, except that, okay, so it's just an optical illusion because astrology, the definition really, like from studying astrology, is we are looking at the sky, the planets, and everything from our perspective here on Earth. So, what that means is that it's not really moving backwards. It just, because, after, when they, either a planet, like, speeds up, or um, a certain, there's like a distance that changes, or something, which those do happen, that's kind of where it pushes us into these retrogrades. It's like, and I wrote this down because I knew I would get it wrong, like saying it. My teacher calls it like a fast car passing a slow car so quickly that it looks like the slow car is going backwards. Um, and that's just kind of, that feel of it. So we, if we can really see it, anyways, I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but I can't see it from here. But if we were, it would look like it was going backwards to us instead of its normal way. And so what happens during these, it's usually like a pretty like subtle effect. Very, very subtle. Like we, say that we can sense it, but not really. I mean, things like, you know, like what happened to my work, where none of the files, we're like, it's our big payroll, like we pay people, nothing that normally goes correctly was happening that day. But really, that could happen at any given day. It doesn't have to be a retrograde. And there probably was an underlying problem that needs to be fixed, anyways. That just maybe something different happened this payroll that changed it. So, anyways, it's kind of like he said, it's really like, think of the energies like a reverse tarot card. There's something that's slightly like out of alignment from our perspective. So think about it from our perspective. And so, retrogrades aren't curses. They're just a little bit harder to navigate. Depending just be a little bit more careful. Don't panic. But don't also blame, which I do this. I kind of turn it into a joke. I blame everything in Mercury retrograde while it's happening, because we do that. But he also said it's an excellent time for undoing anything as well, like any like to quit smoking, breaking bad habits, going back and changing plans that were already made. Not the best to usually make those plans. It's a good time, like it's kind of like a mental spring cleaning, which is ironic to me because my brain's been feeling kind of fuzzy. I'm a Gemini and Mercury rules me for sure. But the two signs that'll have it the hardest right now, and especially if your rising is in these signs, is Virgo and Leo. It's always, when you see what planets that retrograde is in, those are the two that are going to have, or the one or the two that are going to have the challenge with it. And this one, we're not only just shifting signs, like when we shift the sign and it goes back to Leo, we're also shifting the house that it can affect us in. So I've got an awesome, like, kind of little quickie list that I kind of made about whose, houses or what, and wrote it out in very layman terms, because I don't like to throw out a bunch of terminology and stuff just to sound smart. I mean, I'm learning this. I'm no astrology expert, but I like sharing the things that I'm learning, and I love it, and I want to study. I'm always going to be studying it, and because I enjoy it so much, and y'all will all kind of grow together. Maybe maybe a few years from now you'll be like, wow, look how far you've come.
I just find it very confusing in the sense that it's like,
it is.
whenever someone is showing a chart, like on YouTube, and they're showing the different houses, and they're not even talking about a retrograde, and they're just talking in general terms, about this
aspects
house
degree.
transiting this, and this is like, and then they've got this, and then when you look at a chart, your first house that you identify as your first, their first is somewhere else on the chart because their first sign or their sign when they were born is this. So it's like there's this whole thing about like astrology that I find very, and I know like years ago too, they probably had to do the math themselves too. Now computers probably do it, I would
Yeah, pull out the
imagine.
big ephemerises. Yeah.
Yeah, like how do
And
you
all kinds of
compute
stuff.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. And I know, astrology led to astronomy and like all these things that like people take for granted, like, you know, and a lot of them, in the 15th or 13th century that led to all these discoveries. But it just to keep it simple, like, so like one person, the people who are most affected by it are the people in whose like houses the the retrograde is going on.
Yeah. And then also, um, and sometimes like if it's within your element too, like meaning the fire, water, earth, um, air sign. Gemini, I usually kind of, you know, recognize it anyways, just because I'm ruled by Mercury. So, and this one actually, but I mean, I'm not a Gemini rising, I'm a Taurus rising, but
So
I feel like if you're ruled by Mercury, it kind of can, feel like it messes with you a little bit more.
yeah,
But,
because isn't Mercury about energy? Isn't it about the trend? Like, isn't it about? I mean, they're all about energy, but the
it's because
speed,
everything's energy.
the
Yeah.
speed is in it too, right? Like,
Yeah. It's probably like just racing past us, you know? It's just like, so, but we think it's going backwards. Yeah. Um, so, it's just to think about it, like, I guess from our perspective, and there's different ways to explain it. And I'm just explaining it in the simplest of terms. And, um, there's lots of different schools of thought and opinions, just like in tarot, you know. I don't I'll say mine's the right way or the wrong way.
but just
And
from the
I'm learning too. I can put my foot in my mouth at the same time, especially
yeah,
now.
like the people that have the retrograde in their houses, they're the ones for whom they shouldn't make like life altering decisions about something at that time.
I mean, if you can help it, it's usually not
Yeah.
a good time to make. Yeah, like it's not a good time. Like here, I like so I wouldn't go squirrel brain on you because I really am having like squirrel brain moments. It's funny. I was in Scorpio. He was doing readings. I was like, you know what? I want a weekly read. Let's see what kind of mess is going to happen this week. And I got I got the special card in one of his decks, the tripping weight or something, and it was like the the trippy squirrel or something like that, or and he's like, yeah, basically everything just goes squirrel brain, everything just goes squirrely. He's like, that was my experience with the card. He's like, nothing necessarily bad, but it's just kind of like, what the heck, like, and that's supposed to be tomorrow when I go back to work. So I'm like, he wants me to report back to him. I'm sure I probably will remember. I was just laughing because I'm like, yeah, that sounds it sounds perfect for Mercury retrograde. And my overall advice was stay grounded, which it is. It's a time for us because we're going to feel, especially in these days and time, of instant gratification of information and everything, and all of the systems and technologies we rely on. Everything is just moving at such a fast pace. It's really forces us. We're forced to reflect and look at um, things that we can improve or do better on, and also just to slow down, maybe be more present. It's a good time to meditate, to journal, which it comes into play. There's a bunch of like shadow work prompts out there to journal. If you don't want to write it down, you can even just answer the questions aloud to yourself. Um, so, certain kind of affirmations. I was reading somewhere is like if you get triggered by an affirmation, there's something behind that to look into. Like, why do I feel triggered by this? And, if you want to pull up and look see what's happening up in the sky, sometimes we can kind of see like, what I can kind of see a correlation here. And kind of look at it. My girls are not going to sleep. They're supposed to be asleep. Lord, we're starting off really good. But so Mercury rules the third house, okay? There's 12 houses, just like there's 12 signs. Just, think of it like a big cake. And but there's just like a different flavor in each cake. And, you start at Aries and you end in Pisces. Really, a lot of the houses really reflect the signs. They're just going to have to fit. They're fine. They need to sleep. So Mercury rules any kind of communication. Like the way you learn, the way you think, contracts, agreements, book manuscripts.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Term
that.
papers. Yeah. And then also like travel. The reason why computers, like it can affect like computer codes. And then with travel, transportation, shippings and things like that. So usually like there's just usually like a lot of delays, more so than anything. And so we just kind of have to, sometimes have a backup plan. Might have a tendency to be more forgetful, like, oh crap, my passport. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's just the kind of the main stuff that it'll affect. And
The houses don't change, do they? No matter who the person is? Is it always the same? Like, is the third house always Mercury?
mhm.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. It's just what changes if you're looking at transits. What changes is like where is the planet at this time? How is it moving? And you look at it in relation to, your
The
chart.
house.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's why like the rising, the ascendant is really the most accurate horoscope to follow because, your ascendant's always like your first house. So that's the moment that you came to be, the, like my ascendant fell into Taurus. But I
So
have a
that's your
Gemini
first.
sun.
That's your first house. Is that your first house,
Taurus
Taurus?
rising. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's that.
Oh, so that
Like
would explain it then. Okay. All right. I never knew that. No one ever explained it to me that way. Like that.
your
That.
ascendant, and then if you look right across straight, like that line at the other end of it is your descendant. Look there to figure out like how you are in relationships and the kind of relationships that you might have a tendency to attract. And you kind of want to look at, like a partner's descendant. I was really learning the importance of that last week and I found it fascinating. Sorry, my son wants to ask me something. Jeff, if you want to say anything, sorry.
Okay. So yeah, it really is just it's birth dependent. It's not dependent on anything other than that. So the face of it looks different for absolutely everybody on this planet. It's like a cosmic fingerprint,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really not, um,
And
it's
the north node is what rules when you like what you're going to heal in this life, and then the south node is in the past,
it's
like
kind of
what you
what you
have.
have it's kind of like what you have an excess of, like tendencies that maybe you have too much of. And the
Okay.
north node is something like it's like a lesson. So it's the lesson line. It's your kind of like your north star in a way. Um, uh, like your soul purpose in a way to learn this really big lesson with the the North Node. I can't wait till that's one of the few things my teacher hasn't talked about yet, because we're breaking it down in these small bits and going, which really helps to see how things layer. And I enjoy, talking about it in that way, because it's too much. It's too overwhelming to try to, like, when you're looking at these and you don't know any of it, it's a lot of weird terminology and all this degrees and all this stuff. I mean, it's easier to just take it in bits and slowly build up. And you can really learn a lot about yourself, not even really paying attention to what house something is in. If you're just starting out, is just to look at, here's my sun, here's my moon. Let me think about what does that mean? This is my inner self versus this is, like my soul essence. But here, just like the moon card in tarot, we have things that we hold inside that not everybody sees.
Like the
Yeah.
glyphs on the card means so much, because it's almost like they're explaining the transits to you in a way. When you get a couple of cards or 3 or 4 cards and you're reading on somebody, then you can tell them, like, you have that astrology knowledge, right? So then you can go into it being like, oh, like, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do this way, or
I'll just kind of think about it. It's like I like it more for like the psychological aspect of it, and knowing that, like, okay, Taurus moon. All right, and my Taurus moon happens to be in the second house of Taurus too. No, that's my Venus. I meant to say my Taurus moon is in the 12th house. So in the 12th house is Pisces. And that can kind of feel confusing, but just to look at like what a Taurus moon is, feels, is like I kind of like, routines. I can kind of block myself off a little bit, and I like to feel secure, in my environment. I like
Taurus.
beautiful things. I love, I love food, the way it tastes. They say Taurus moons can taste
The
flavors
sensuality
that other people can't, supposedly. How do we scientifically prove that? I don't know, but I would think that's true, because I live to eat. I don't eat to live,
Yeah. I know the feeling.
I like to think that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I love food so much. And yeah, of course I can taste flavors that aren't there. And that's another thing people will say is like, oh, we just use astrology like to make ourselves feel better about why something's happening, or, oh, this explains everything because I'm blah blah blah. I mean, that's not really the point. I mean, if you don't use it to know how to potentially see, it's kind of like archetypes within yourself, and part of this bigger cosmic energy here is to learn how to work with the energy that you were born with, and also the energy of others. And it's really interesting and profound, the coincidences, the things that you realize and start to see about people when you start to look at how they act and respond to something. And it's like, I know they have like, a temper. could be, a little bit more, like my husband, no offense, he's an Aries rising. It's Scorpio in Aries rising. So, it's like
Yikes.
there could be big feelings. Yeah, intense feelings. And, it's like Scorpio is like a pot that boils over or simmers, but yet then an Aries is just like,
Boom.
but it goes away really quickly, right? So just little things like that, I'm like, I'm going to be a little careful how I say this, or I'm just going to hold back and let it ride, let it flow. You can use it in relationships, work. You can use astrology to look at, events in history and stuff. I mean, it's really fascinating. I'm just scratching the surface right now of it all, and I love it. We could probably say hey to some more people, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. I see Cosmic Orphan. Hi. We've got Linda Kennedy here. When I heard your cards, Kieran, I thought twins. Oh. Happy Squirrel card. And then I know I saw Thomas, and then Hershey and Miss Moonlight. Oh, Moira D. I love my ephemeris. I'm learning. We were looking at some. And yes. And then Mosaic, is that Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Michelle. Hi. Felicia Franklin. Hi. Oh my goodness. Thank y'all all so much for being here.
Felicia
Makes
has
me
a
so
question.
happy.
Are there
Okay.
things?
Oh, sorry. I
Are there
tapped the
things
wrong
that tend
thing.
to go well during a retro period?
That tend to what? I'm trying to
Go
find it.
well.
Go well.
Yeah, like go easily or better.
Um, you know, I mean, maybe like happy accidents, maybe sometimes, maybe, a delay on something kept you. I mean, and I really hate to use this as an example because it's really a tragic event. And I'm not trying to say this was Mercury retrograde's fault by any means, but the Brazil crash. And I read stories and everything. And then I saw a story where a guy, he was really upset that they wouldn't let him on the plane. And, there was confusion with, he's like, I've really got to be at this meeting. And then he was like, oh my goodness, like, had that, I can't even imagine the feeling you would have to know, wow, if they would have let me on there, like, I wouldn't be here right now. There were several doctors on that plane too that were headed to like a seminar.
Oh my
Several
God.
doctors. Yeah, I kind of wanted to look. Of course, my astrology like little inspector like went on, and I'm like, what is that? But I mean, of course, they were going for like a business trip or whatever. But that's just crazy. It just kind of makes you wonder the energy signature in the universe at that time. But I'm not, saying that like it's a necessarily a cause and effect thing of it. But I mean, that could be something, like, hey, just something not working out could be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. But also, I think the biggest thing is that is it really the good things is like maybe, hey, we're so frustrated that something's not working on our computer. Maybe we spend more time with a family member or friend. Um, uh, there is, of course, they say a lot of lovers come back. Use caution because usually the problems are still there, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good time to grow for ourselves, and we all need these readjustments. Like if we didn't change or grow or evolve at all, I mean, I think that's kind of a boring existence. It growing isn't easy, it's
No.
but I want to evolve and learn from my mistakes can be actually wins in the long run. So wear my scars.
And
But
then
yeah.
back to the astrology point of view of it, they talk about like the way other people see you is your ascendant,
Mm-hmm.
how you were born, your natal sign is the whatever. And then they talk about the midheaven as something that I guess has something to do with how people see you professionally in a work environment. I mean, it's like, it's interesting to me, like that part of it. And then like,
Yeah, you look at that one for your like your career and your public image and stuff like that. But yeah, like the rising is kind of like and I mean I hate to say it this way, but it's uh you know, your surface level, you know, kind of the it's not like I'm going around saying, "Oh, I'm going to mask myself this way," but in a way it's like there's with all of us, there's much more beneath the surface. And you know, sometimes people I act different, you know, we all do. I act differently at work than I do talking to you guys.
mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, different things, but yeah, I'm Taurus rising and Taurus moon, but you know, I got that Gemini sign lights it up. And then also too, like where you know we once you're ready to go a layer deeper, then look, you know, at like, hey, it says I'm you know, like I was saying earlier, like my Taurus moon in the 12th house might kind of feel a little uncomfortable for Taurus. You know, think about like, it's kind of think about how that sign does it fit into that house and think about that relation of it. In, it, I
Neptune,
compare things a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
like
And I'll
that
think
would seem
about it like
pretty
that.
scary. And like, because that's about dreams almost, and like the other life, and like, having one foot in this reality and maybe having
Hmm.
another foot in a different reality. That doesn't seem like earthy Taurus to me at all.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So, you know, you think about like how it affect, how, you know, different that can make you feel in a certain situation. And like I learned tonight in astrology. My class was like almost 3 hours long, and I never really thought about this before. But like, if somebody's sun and moon like are kind of, you know, opposite of each other, like in the circle, for that's telling because it's almost kind of like you could feel like your sun and your moon are like in opposition with each other.
Yeah.
That just little things like that. There's lots of layers, and you can go very deep with
Like
it. And
Leo and Aquarius, the collective versus the self, the king, I versus we, you know,
yes,
Libra,
yeah,
Aries,
yeah, yeah. You like
war versus
Aries is
peace.
very like me, and then you kind of move. We call them hemispheres or whatever. Um, like Taurus, you know, was like I have, and then you know, of course, Gemini, like I think I say this, you know, that kind of stuff, and then eventually, like Cancer, you're kind of about to move on to where you start. Like we call Leo is like the point where, and I really like how my teacher said this is like where the ego, you realize your ego because you're starting to see and recognize how people acknowledge you, appreciate you or not. Like there's that sense of it. And so then you go into, you know, a whole series where you're going back up, and then the higher you go around, like when you get to Aquarius and Capricorn and Pisces, like Pisces is like almost in another dimension, really. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one foot in this reality and one foot
A
gone
little bit, yeah.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nora D
Because
says, my sun and moon are conjunct in Pisces, a new moon baby.
oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. That's my girls right there. My girls are Pisces rising, and Aquarian moons, Gemini twins. Yeah, like they wear their feelings really big on the outside.
Do they?
But yet they totally like kind of have cat vibes at the same time. Like will ignore me. Like I don't know, like
Yeah.
do their own thing. Because Aquarian, yeah, like it's just it's more of like the higher up you go, the like the more reaching you're looking out at the world. You know, like your view. It's an evolution, and it's kind of cool to think about it that way. I think. But yeah, like I was looking at with Virgo. And with Leo in particular, like Virgo, it's going in like uh, the 12th and the 1st. So that's like kind of a awkward place, where Virgos can have like, especially like when we shift to the 14th or whatever, um, like those dreams, visions, things like that. And it was interesting because Ange, and you've seen Ange from Roots and Waves. I know she's a Virgo, and I hadn't even looked at, where Virgo was going to be in the houses and stuff. I mean, I did for this show, and it was funny. I gave her a reading, and like I looked, I was like, I'm seeing you have dreams and visions and stuff like that. And then I'm like looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I wonder what her rising is. But obviously her sun sign's being affected too. I thought it was interesting, like that that is in that house right now. And then I believe Leo Leo risings can be a little, they like spending typically.
Yeah.
These are just generalizations, okay?
Yeah.
And I know theirs was like, I want to say it was hitting in like one of those, the second house or something. I've got to look. Where are my notes? Here they are. Because it's really, I can get turned around easily, especially like since they're flipping like half and half and stuff. You should see my notes were pretty crazy. Yeah, the second and the first. That's right, because then Virgo is the first. So there's like use a lot of self-evaluation and realizations. There's an opportunity to kind of like look at how you're going to go forward in life, and from there. And then like Leo might need to budget right now. Leo rising. How have I been overspending? And then the Leo, the personal, like in your first house, like self-expression, kind of looking at how, maybe having a little patience, and also like looking at how, how am I being authentic to myself? And a lot of things can just be like misunderstandings in our communications with others too. It's not just about technology delays and stuff like that. Um, a good piece of advice for anybody is just to be more cautious and maybe think about what you're saying. Sometimes I try to exercise that in general, but I'm a Taurus moon too, so I pull things in, and I'm measuring my words when it's something with my feelings, because I kind of have a tendency to my deep feelings leave those kind of closed in, and also I hate drama. I hate it. So I don't want to cause. So I have a tendency to think about that a little bit more. But anyways, I don't know. Were there any other questions you had?
Yeah,
You
there are
want to
quite a
start
bit.
some?
Well, more
Okay.
comments than anything, but I wanted to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dark Moon Taurus. I'm reading Hershey's right there.
Mosaic insight. Well, yeah. Firstly, Hershey.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah. Can you comment on that one a little bit? That's an interesting.
She's got that Aries rising, that fire. Yeah. The Aries is like a really awesome, leader, cardinal, which means, cardinal is just initiator. It's like when you think about like a firecracker going off, it's just like, but it's an energetic burst. So I would say like, so you could probably maybe come off a little bit more um, stronger than she actually, like, or more, maybe a little bit of a temper sometimes or whatever, or things like that. But, in Gemini, I mean, awesome. We talk, think, I mean, Gemini sun, that's my placement too. But, it's kind of chaotic too, the Gemini, that duality. But that Taurus moon, is pulling in where the Gemini and where the sun and her rising are both masculine, and then her moon is actually like feminine and Taurus moon is actually exalted in that placement anyways. It's supposed to be one of the most beneficial or best beneficial places for your moon to be. But but actually like really down, like she is very like me, because I'm a Taurus moon too, is very grounded. And we kind of like we love beautiful things, but we love simple things too. And can be very grounded. But the Aries rising, I wish I had more cardinal energy, the more that fire, like get up and go, really get things started going, and help lead and inspire other people. Friendly, funny, I mean, there's good and there's bad for everybody. It's not really bad. I mean, it's just it makes us more interesting as people, right? But yeah, that's for her. She's like can be a little, feisty and fun, and
an Aquarius with an Aquarius moon and an Aries rising.
That's interesting. Like Aquarius with Aquarius moon, having like your sun and your moon, and that's a lot of energy there. And like everybody's like, oh, Aquarians, they're the humanitarians of the zodiac. I mean, doesn't mean every Aquarian is a humanitarian per se. Yes, so like can be very
they can be set in their ways.
But yeah, very stubborn because it's fixed. It's like my astrology teacher calls it like it's when you hold air, like it stagnates. Like so you think about like like still air. I was like, okay. It's not, I don't mean it like to sound mean or anything like that. We just kind of like riff and talk like that in our astrology class. But very, smart typically, but can be a little independent, and like probably can kind of come off as aloof a little bit at times. Need like space, but yeah, can be very stubborn and a little rebellious, perhaps. I mean, it just depends. It depends on our life experiences and our socialization and stuff. But with the Aries rising, though, it's like that's you want to move, like you want to go. Probably needs to like exercise is a good thing for air to calm our mind, and for fire to get some of the buildup, yeah, so don't get impatient, right?
What would it be if you were a Sagittarius moon with a Scorpio moon in Vedic astrology? In other words, I think the Vedic was, in other words, if you were an Aries and then things sped up, and then, or you were Pisces, you would have been a Pisces by Vedic astrology and then Aries by, but long story short, Mosaic says I'm a Sagittarius moon in Western, but I'm a Scorpio in Vedic.
How about this? Which one do you relate with more? I'm curious. Let's see what she says. Because I did not, like, mine says that I'm an Aries rising in Vedic, and there's nothing really cardinal about me. Like, I need more of that. I need that. Cardinal, like, get stuff started. Like, we need people to start things. I can hold something. Try to leave it there. Yeah. Okay. So the Western. Yeah. That one I feel more like. Scorpio is intense, very highly loyal, but it's fixed water. And I mean, so you got to think about, like, there's a reason why Scorpio rules, the 8th house. is where,
Money,
yeah, shared finances,
shared
your money,
finances,
our money together,
sex.
taxes, things like
Yeah.
that. But, it can be like, oh my goodness, my girls are not going to sleep. Goodness. Okay. So they, kind of can hold things in, but we're really good at finding out your secrets. But I don't want to tell you mine. It's like, seriously, like my husband's a Scorpio. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like the things that he just can know, like, is just really irritating to me. But I
Intuitive.
was,
Yeah.
but I was shocked to find out. Like I looked, I was like, oh my god, my descendant is in Scorpio, and that's like how I will look at a relationship. It was very eye opening. And then I was like, but yeah, I do like to, kind of in a very sly way, I'm getting to know, like I'm asking things and like nonchalantly or listening to like clues and then putting things together. It's like I'm figuring you out, like
This
but also I
moonlight's a
want I want
Scorpio
your
rising.
undying loyalty as well. Yeah, till death. Like in Scorpio, they can have a tendency to stay in things too that don't need to stay in, but being fixed and take a while to really, trust somebody, to let them in. And if you break a Scorpio's trust, like it's hard to get that back. If I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's like almost impossible. I believe. But anyways,
What about a Pisces? A
this is really
Pisces with
funny
a
right
Leo
here. Yeah. And he's a Pisces. He's a Pisces moon too. It's like all that water, and hardly any earth. And I got all this earth. It's funny, but I think it's our Taurus Scorpio thing works. It's probably my Gemini that causes more problems than anything. Hey, Jeff, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You just look
I
like you were
didn't
like
freeze.
frozen for a minute.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just looking at the chat. There's a lot
There's
in here.
so much going on. Yeah, right?
Um, Pisces with a Leo rising in a crescent phase. Tarot your way, Tom.
Well, which, like, is it, was it waxing or was it waning? But, like, we're not really like looking at, we haven't got as far as like looking at the moon phases. I wonder, like, what my teacher even thinks about that. I know that's a whole nother kind of, um, side of it that you can look at, per se, because, of course, there's different theories about, what I mean. I definitely know, like, if you were born like in a, where they call it like, where the moon was in, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget this term right now. I always do this. But if I know Maura, if she's here, she probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. A void of course moon, meaning like, because the moon changes like every 2 days, 2.5 days, and there's like a period there where you can, uh, if you're born like during that time, you might have something's not like lit up as much in your house, and maybe have some like challenges and stuff. But it's an interesting time, when if you're born during a void of course. And that's something like I'm actually making a mental note too. I want to, go down a rabbit hole and read more about that. But I guess if you think about like the moon and its phases, like opening up, was it closing? Was it, were things dwindling back down? I mean, I would kind of think of it, um, in those kind of terms with it. But what was the what was the first part? I got distracted by the
Um,
moon phase, because I don't feel comfortable totally answering that part. I mean, I'm not gonna fake knowing stuff.
Pisces, comma Leo rising.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's interesting. Leo rising is some beautiful, fun energy. Like, typically, and I normally don't like to say like with physical attributes, but it typically pretty good looking people, and can even have really good hair with a Leo rising. Seriously, think about like really, they
They're
can.
because of the lion and the mane.
But that's interesting though with the Pisces, where having that sensitivity and water, that could be a lot of like passion, but also it's like I don't know whether to withdraw, to go forward. Yeah, that could be a little intense. And maybe even like with a Leo rising, it's so just, it's really hard to not notice a Leo.
Tarot
Yeah.
here, he clarified, waxing crescent.
A waxing. Okay. So building up to the full. Me, like intuitively, this is an intuitive response, is that, the moon phase is intensifying, right? To illuminate more. I would wonder if that there wasn't, maybe even like while the moon's like in a certain phase or during that time, how you feel differently, but I would say that, it would probably maybe even, make you a little bit more intense, I would think. Because, it's building up to this big, to the grand full moon, which, we all know that's, infamous. Like people who don't believe in any of this stuff will say, down the hospital wing, full moons are busy nights, right? Why is that, right? I don't know. It's a strange coincidence, maybe. I don't ever think too, like just to think of it intuitively is almost like think about like the gravitational pulls, that pull like our ocean and stuff like that. I don't know if how I would read that, as an astrologer. I'm just thinking of it like in a woo-woo, like from tarot things. But I want to learn more about that. We just haven't got there yet, actually, talking about that. But it's something I'm going to write down because I want to ask my teacher. I want to know their perspective on that. That's a really good question. So, do we want to do some readings?
Definitely.
Does anybody want some readings? Yeah, I think I've chatted.
Ramon has joined us.
Oh, hi, Ramon. Hi. Where do you void, of course, used to have a much different meaning and occurred much less frequently. Moira knows a lot, I can tell. I want to look into that more. It's interesting to me. But yeah, let's go. Oh, y'all are awesome. Oh, he might be in yours. I didn't see him. He's here. There he is.
There he is.
There he is. Hi. I just can't read right now, apparently. It has been a long day, though. And my little son starts school tomorrow, so.
So the Saturn returns the 50. Is that age 52 or 28 and 52 or?
Well, it's like every 29, 30 years or something. Because it's how long Saturn takes to complete it. Yeah. So it takes a long time.
Yeah, I heard that. Some people may only see one in their lifetime. Is that true? Most people?
Think about it, I think my Saturn return, I think it's like when you're 29, 30. So think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. So, but yep.
Wants a reading.
Let's see. Oh, Hershey does?
I think so.
Fun. Fun. Yeah, that is fun. I like it. So I was talking with Jeff about these readings, like kind of looking at what I know like with your rising, I can tell you because I remember you said you were an Aries rising. And right now, Aries, I believe it hits like it's in the sixth house right now. This Mercury retrograde is, and with the sixth house, like it involves like our work, service. It's the house of Virgo. Um, uh, service and our health, things like that. Um, and in your work and stuff right now, or health. I mean, there can be certain delays and miscommunications and stuff that you might be feeling in those areas. And, there might just need to, reevaluate some things that are happening there. I wrote down like a really good, let me pull this up because I wrote down, I thought about like prompts to tell people like, yeah, like it's a time to like fine tune projects and stuff. And then next week, or this week actually, the 14th, it's going to move into the fifth house, which is Leo's house. And there can be, misunderstandings, anything to do with like the fifth house, is romance or creativity, the things that, our hobbies, things that we enjoy, and also
Cooking.
procreation is there too, so children are there. Yeah. Sex is there too. But yeah, anything that kind of like lights you up there. But it could kind of feel like there might be some like hiccups in those areas. So I would say, like you might have a feeling to might be a good time to like revisit something that you enjoy doing and maybe refining it. But not necessarily to try to start something new, I think, per se. And that was the main thing that I wrote down for, Aries rising. So we'll pull some tarot and see like what we're reflecting on and what we need to like and what Hershey to reflect, revisit, and revise. So it's kind of like my little little bit. I've got I felt like my Poppy Palin would be a good deck to pull out today because the real life imagery on these cards. Because these are like things that mostly are just kind of happening, in our work and our day-to-day things. I wanted to have cards like that. And then I've got my Southern Gothic Oracle, which is a shadow deck. I called it a shadow deck. I don't know technically if the creator did, but we determined in my pop-up flip through of it that it is a shadow deck. Yeah. And then I've got some DBT cards. DBT is dialectical behavior therapy. And basically, I thought those would give good prompts like that you could use for like exercises, things like that. It's for emotional regulation and also how, we interact with others. So there's like dialogue prompts and things like that. And so we'll just see what the universe, spirit, God, divine, you know how it goes. We'll see what wants to come out. I like to have those to pull intuitively. I love the backs of these cards. They're so pretty. I'll show you all in a minute. But the cards are huge. They're massive for my little hands right now.
You're good with them, though.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're so good with them.
Thank you. I love shuffling. Annoy my The people are in here like I just like to shuffle cards. All right. Let's see what comes out for Hershey for this Mercury retrograde. Okay, so what area, what it's saying to reflect on right now, we've got the, and I'm still looking at this kind of like a theme card too, the Ace of Coins, which is, Ace of Coins is, it's just an opportunity, but it's something that requires work to get past that initial phase, right? And, knowing like your Taurus moon placement too, and Aries rising, what was it, your sixth house work. Yep, there's a correlation. So you might be revisiting, or something good to revisit right now. We've got the Six of Coins, and I really kind of look at this as who you're exchanging your energy with, and how, what feels fair, and what doesn't, what's worth your time, what isn't. Also it is generosity. It's a card of generosity, but I also see, a lot of the times it's measured. But in this card, I don't really see a scale particularly measuring it, but there's a lot going on in it. So, it might be like kind of looking at what projects, to put your time into, because it does take energy to do all of this, right? And what you have the energy to work really hard to grow and build. And let's see, what is it? And then what to revise. The moon. I love this moon card, by the way. Look at that. So maybe kind of looking at this is to revise. It's obviously looking within, how, your emotions behind something. I would say to look and see, what are you seeing clearly and what aren't you, and to make sure to take the still time to listen to that intuitive voice, and to feel, what are you seeing, like, do you feel it here? Does something feel off? Well, what you want to work on. I feel like that also, maybe there's something that you can't quite see yet, because in the bottom of the deck we had the Seven of Cups, which can be a lot of choices. Hershey, you're popular, you've got a lot of options, opportunities, people who want to work with you. And I know you were talking earlier today about like some of the things that you have going on, projects wise and everything like that. And that Seven of Cups, it's like, what I can kind of feel like, like, maybe a little bit of an overwhelm, because there's so much. And I would say just, really like maybe meditate and kind of really get down deep with your emotions on that one. And also, revisit too, like, was I really seeing something clearly there? Did I really, was that really a fair exchange of energy? Was that worth my time? That kind of thing. Because, our time is valuable, what we put into it. But there's some type of opportunity, something cool right now. I know you got some stuff going on. So, Yeah. You're kind of looking where to put your time and energy. And yeah, take the time to really, sit down because it's important. With the pinnacle, like you're putting something out into the world and it's taking, time and energy. It's a real investment. It's not just a thought or a feeling. It's something you can touch, hold, grasp, feel, it's a resources. I thought they went to sleep and they're not asleep yet. All right. Oh, did y'all just see that? Lord, that came out. Vanity set. Um, and this is my Southern Gothic Oracle, and it says self awareness and clarity, which I really, that just really popped out. Sometimes she has like little prompts in here about how you can go deeper into this. We've got a 28 here too. 28, that breaks down to a 10, which, is the will. If you break that down even further, is the magician. We've got that Mercury energy. So, yeah, I'm thinking like Mercury and Jupiter, like there's some type of change here, an opportunity. But, I think you're wanting a little bit more clarity with that 7 of Cups on the bottom. 28, that number came out a lot for me, like for like 2 years straight. I'm not going to read all of this. I know but it says like take this card as a signal that you have some self-study to do, perhaps in the area of the ego. Are you blocking your own successes and willing to embrace your own talents? Perhaps you are lingering too long at the mirror, away from the life awaiting you outside the bathroom door. Today, take the time to recognize your inner and outer beauty, eyes open and with confidence. I mean, I don't really, I feel like Hershey has, confidence or whatever, but there was one little thing there is like, are you blocking your own successes is maybe something to look at too. Um, I know I can do that too. And then last but not least, we'll get a little DBT skill, an actual something that, you can walk away and try this exercise and see how you like it. Giving y'all homework. Oh, that one wanted to pop out. Okay. We got the emotions here. This is an emotional regulation skill. And this is number 29. Look at that. That's crazy. 28, 29. Overcome barriers to healthy emotions. Ask yourself, what am I thinking, feeling, and doing right now? How are they connected and influencing each other? If you're engaging in unhealthy thoughts or actions, ask yourself what the reward is. That 6 of Coins too, a little bit. That, yeah. For example, do you get attention from others? Consider using healthier coping thoughts and alternative actions instead. So, yeah, I think it's just like to check in with yourself and really ask yourself, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And what are you doing right now? And to think about how all of that's, interplaying. So I would say some meditation, and maybe, some journaling or something like that. But anyways, I hope you got something out of that, Hershey. It's an honor to read for you. So you're such an incredible reader. So I feel honored to do that. Thank you. Jeff, if you want to go.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
read Hershey. It's funny how you said something about universe out of balance, because with the Aries rising component, it's almost like the energy, instead of coming, around and in, is it's just coming like all around into you, because it's like bursts of lightning. I got the Queen of Wands as like the overriding energy over you right now. And then like the energy that you're sitting in though is like this sort of stagnant energy, um, where there can be a promise of something, but it's not moving at the rate at which you want it to be moving. And I'm thinking the irons that you do have in the fire are solid, but you can't seem to like exactly pinpoint when things are gonna like develop in the way that you want them to. Because with this card, the Knight of Wands, that you sit in the energy, it just seems like there's almost too much thought clouding your mind, either from the intuitive side of you, which is almost ruling everything right now, versus some of us would use, the other side. You have the ability to go on both sides, and it's clouding everything. I'm hearing like exact justice as opposed to just justice in the past. There's someone against whom you have, I don't want to say a vendetta, but there's something there that is not corrected yet between you and either the universe or someone in the universe who's pulling the strings above you. Because the energy you're sitting in now is 5 of Cups. So I'm thinking, like, if I were looking at it, there's still, quite a few up, but the others are down. So it's like, it's putting out the fire as opposed to helping it or stoking it. And I think that's frustrating you, because you're like almost done with something, because the Star card came in for you, but that came in reverse too. And it makes me think that it's the energy from above that is controlling everything, rather than your own aspirations, which are almost in the way of the mission you have to help other people here on an earthly plane. So there's something more for you around the corner. It's just trying to work through the energies, is what I'm hearing.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know if that made sense at all, but
that's interesting.
It's got some weird energy. I'm gonna say it. I thought that the 3 or 4 readings I did this week, that was the weirdest, because I'm like, none of this made any sense to me until I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, like, if that's what you're telling me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's other things going on in the sky, just the Mercury retrograde right now too. Like, to see how some of the other things that are going on too.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But Hershey, though, you're Gemini, and Jupiter is in Gemini right now until, like, I think up through what, like next April or May or something. Yeah. It's a really good, like, time. Supposedly fortune favors you right now if you can take something and move it forward. It's a good energy to do that. I don't know why I just thought of that, but there's a reason. I needed to tell you. And Jeff, I think that's so interesting that like that 6 of Pentacles that came on my side, and then the Justice. Like, I just kind of felt like, what, something doesn't feel fair, is something uneven or off balance there.
I feel like her guides are so strong. Like, sometimes what I'm getting from that is her guides are so strong. Maybe she can't. It's not that she can't, but she almost feels at one with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're divine, and I don't mean this facetiously. So she's divine too. So she's a lightning rod for that. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
I mean, we really are, like, we were made of, the same cosmic energy for whatever in that day. I mean, right. It's not just like a bunch of gods up there, throwing lightning bolts, making things, happen. Like, yeah, like we, like we're the macrocosm, microcosm kind of thing, every cell, like, a cell is important as much as the bigger part of it, like it's that reflection back. So, yeah, like we can feel, like, that it doesn't have to be such a division there too. And right. I know, so, yeah.
She says she's throwing lightning bolts. Like, I feel like it's coming, instead of coming, like I said at the beginning, it's coming like this way. You know what I mean? Whereas most of us have to ground and stay that way. Hershey doesn't. I feel like she's
Miss Terry D. Hi.
But Ramon wanted a reading too.
Ramon?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. cool. Oh, let's see what Mars says here. Midlife crisis happens at your Uranus opposition 40 to 40. Lord, did I have one? I'm 44. Lord, that's so true. I had a major one. And COVID, like,
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic, I mean, yeah, it was a hot mess. Hot mess. Okay. And Miss Tarot D made it into the house. We love you, Miss Tarot D. Oh, she's saying hey to Cosmic Heroes. This is the first one I could see pop up. Hi, gorgeous. So glad you were here. Mwah. Oh, and then Adelia, Medeiros, and did she say Fatima was here? Fatima was so sweet.
Odelia's here. That's her sister,
Yes.
I think.
Oh, okay. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna remember that soon. I will. It will stick. But I do remember hearing that before. Well, thank you for being here, Adelia. I'm trying to find where he. If you see it too, you can hit it for me. I think too, Jeff. I think you can do that. It's probably at very, very, very bottom, right? We are all part. Here's some words of wisdom here. Yep, we are all part of the great energy source for sure. Yes, we are. I am throwing lightning bolts. Okay, I think I'm almost there, Ramon. Oh, okay. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. We know we're reading for Ramon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm
at
sorry.
10:01. It's at 10:01. I want a reading too.
Okay. All right. If you already pulled cards, you can go first if you want. I don't know.
I can pull them first. I can pull them first and do them. Ramon, can you give us your rising sign? I know you're a Gemini, but can you give us your rising if you know it?
I think my eyes are just like tired. I can't really read. Like, I mean, I can see my cards and stuff. I just like I can't read any more technology and stuff. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. Ramon, you're getting a lot of 1s and 2s. Okay, so I got the Ace of Swords, and then I got the Ace of Cups right beneath it, meaning this is the opportunity or whatever, the thought, and it can sometimes be a health card. And then I got beneath it the Ace of Cups, the energy you're sitting in right now, but it's a reversal if it's the crossing or whatever energy in a Celtic cross. So I'm thinking that there's an outlet that you are developing or have an opportunity to develop that actually would be a better or a good fit to channel some sort of emotion or some issue that is not completely resolved yet. And I don't mean it necessarily as a personal issue. I almost mean it like, because in the past you did get the Two of Pentacles, that you're able to juggle it. You're juggling a lot of different things right now that are actually all culminating in one thing that is actually going to be really, really, really good for you, as far as a decision that you make, and you will be very, very certain of the importance of that decision after you get through, I think, what is at this point a level of uncertainty or some sort of fear of something in your subconscious. I don't think intuitively it's there, like it's in front of you. It's almost shadow to me. And then in the near future, the Nine of Wands. So you're going to go from like bare bones, like not wherever you are now. I think it might be traveling more professionally. I don't know. I just see it as more energy and movement as opposed to energy that will be brought down by the weight of some sort of unresolved emotion. That's all I'm getting. Oh, he's a rising Gemini, so he's yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense why I'd probably get a mindfulness skill. Because Gemini, like you get a lot of Gemini. Like my Taurus moon could kind of like calm some of the Gemini down, but it gets busy up in our head, and that's why it's really good for air signs. When your mind is like clogged with so many thoughts, it can be hard to sleep and things like that.
Yeah.
It's good to get some exercise to like release some of that that energy, because it is almost like a nervous, like like always fidgety, like I'm moving tapping my foot like underneath, like always.
Like there's that energy
Hands, I mean, yeah, it's always. Okay, so first off, like I'm not even really say the first card. I'm just saying the middle card because you said something about travel. Where did I get out? The Chariot. I was like, are you kidding me? We're syncing, Jeff. Our messages are syncing. Yeah. Okay, so I can tell you, like with Gemini, right now, I know. Okay, so right now, home, you're in the sector of Cancer, which is home. Looking at like maybe family dynamics in your actual home too. What makes you feel secure, things like that. And that can kind of like leave you, there might be some like misunderstandings with that Gemini rising. Or maybe even looking to here, I made this note: future home plans. I don't know. Are you are you looking out at some stuff here? Because I mean, sometimes like why I write certain things down, I'm like, it's down here for somebody for a reason, right? But also, it's a good time to revisit past issues with clear communication involving, your family and your home, things like that. And then guess what? Like on the 14th, it moves into the third house of Gemini, Mercurial, the communications and stuff like that. So just kind of get a little heads up, there might, might your daily interactions and, communication, stuff like that, just like double check details. Although I feel with Ramon, he's the he checks his details, but anyways, just saying. And don't rush through things and avoid rushing decisions. And it's a good time to revisit an old project or an idea that you may have right now when it shifts on the 14th into your third house. So the first thing like to reflect on is so funny, like that the Cancer, the home feel, right? The 10 of Cups. And like this is to reflect on what fills what fills all those cups up, what your emotional security and fulfillment. It's a good time to reflect on that, and then to revisit, maybe revisit if you're thinking about traveling somewhere. But also to revisiting, like could be like maybe seeing a family member or something like that too, like the Chariot to me is more of like short distance travel anyways, right? But also, I mean, look, we've got it's a skateboarder here. So yeah, that takes some balance, the opposing forces there and everything. But also too, I mean, if you think about the greater meaning of the Chariot, it's your self-will and determination. um but um like maybe the two, like, is following this path, like, is that making you emotionally happy too? And definitely, this is like where can you revise or whatever. And we've got the Three of Cups. Maybe need to have a little bit more fun right now. I don't know. Maybe there is an old friend or an old, family member or something, to go to see. I think that could bring you um, some happiness and maybe like kind of, light you up in here, because on the bottom of the deck was the Queen of Wands. And, you know, I love this. She's the orchestra conductor. And then look at those fireworks, like just beautiful show going in the background, right? But the is interesting, and this is like probably one of my favorite cards in this deck that came out though. You got black coffee, number 27. Yeah. And that's shadow work and awakening. And I know, like, obviously we know, what shadow work is. Um, there was a couple of things I read this before, like on when I was flipping through this deck. There's something, it's a good signifier of the awakening you need right now. Black coffee, it's got the jolt of caffeine, but will it be sweet and creamy or bitter like pure black coffee? Gazing into the darkness is a necessary part of adulthood. We fear and dread facing painful situations such as conflict, grief, and loss, but avoiding reality because it hurts is unhealthy. I can kind of do that a little bit. Coffee symbolizes awakening, which indicates that you are perhaps now, in some sense, asleep. If you remain in the twilight of your memories, you are not avoiding the dark, but wallowing in it. That's interesting. In order to see light again, you will need to step forward with courage to embrace your unique opportunities in future. Shadow work is about letting go. Letting go is about forgetting, in a sense. Sip the coffee, blink your eyes, and a new day has dawned. Maybe revisiting something here is going to help you let go or heal something. So, you can move forward. Yeah, black coffee. They wake you up. I love that card. And then the mindfulness skill that I got for you. Number 24, do what's effective. Changing behavior can be difficult. Doing what's effective means that you act in an appropriate way to achieve your goals, even if it feels uncomfortable or unnatural. That Chariot makes me feel that way, like the self-discipline behind it sometimes. It can be hard sometimes, I think. But today, be mindful and choose appropriate actions. Avoid judging. Be aware of your body language, and just do the best you can. I'm just going to say that to you. Are you okay? You're there, Jeff. I keep thinking like you're freezing up.
No, I pulled out the Kipper because there were some things I wanted. The center card that he got is activity. And like,
did I cut you off? I'm so sorry. I thought you.
No, you didn't. No, I just wanted to look at something, and it's like.
Okay.
There are some issues here that like I'm just wondering, like, because 1 down 2 down with the knighting, there's like some level, and I don't know what it is. There's like I'm knighting 1 down 2 over, which is the technique in this. But he has, and to me, this when I use this deck for the first time, it reminds me of somewhat of a hybrid between a Lenormand and a Kipper.
I love that card.
This is the fear and stress card down into the living room, which is your immediate circle. So I'm just wondering if, like, someone around you is going through something more than you are right now, or someone's mourning something. I just, but I don't worry about it because there's a good outcome coming in the relationship you do have right now. The other thing that I did see that I just found a little strange was in your immediate vicinity, there's someone who's a fault. This one is literally in the regular Kipper, the false person, but I don't know if it's called the false person. I think it is, whatever. It's a woman that's holding a fan.
Close enough, yeah. Yes. There's a thief too.
Someone around him seems to be, yeah, there is. Someone around him seems to be being duplicitous. I don't know if it's someone in the family, but just watch out for that. Like, I don't know if there's someone around you, like a brother or a sister, that is envious of you. Something, just something to look for.
Yeah. Because I mean, you know, we got a family card, family friends, family and friends. You know, like
okay,
cups and cups. That's a lot of water because it's a chariot too. That's Cancer. Cancer sun. And then I think the Ten of Cups, that's Pisces. Yeah. And then the Three of Cups. I've got my
it's
that's interesting that you brought that up. What's that?
It's amazing how you know the glyphs on the cards. You know what I mean?
Well, like, I just remember that, like, yeah, like the decans or whatever. Okay, that's Mars.
Oh, it's Mars.
Pisces
okay.
Is the Ten of Cups. Is Pisces, like Mars and Pisces, or Pisces and Mars, or something. I'm probably saying that backwards. And then with the three, what decan is that one? I just want to look because I'm trying to learn these to, infuse them. Yeah, it is Cancer. Venus and Cancer. So Venus and Mars.
Those
are like, those are the biological planets. But yeah. So yeah, to reflect on an action, and then the Chariot, yeah, and then what to revise. It's like, you know, with the Venus, that's like, like, you know, this where like beauty, love. I mean, there is some love, but it's more of like,
Libra and Taurus right there.
Yeah, but it's not like, I mean, I know like Venus is the house though too. Like, I mean, we'll look at our Venus a lot of times, like how we come across to people that we're interested in and things like that, you know. But it's not like as strong as like where, you know, our descendant or something would be. But kind of, that's interesting. I feel like, you know, Ramon probably knows what that means for him. It's always like when we're seeing this, but you know, yeah. But that's interesting that all those cups, you know, all this water. So, I mean, I would just, you know, it's trying to like, and with the Chariot, it's trying to like, you know, balance, like, it's like driving two things that don't, you know, like how do you keep it in line or whatever. So there's some sense of, you know, it's a balance to go forward, but
he did say it made sense and it resonates.
Okay, thank you. Because sometimes, do you feel that way? Sometimes if you're like, I don't. Like,
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Oh, okay. So I did get something. All right, a coworker. Okay, yeah. Okay. The energy. Okay. Watch your back. There's something around you that I got more from the Kipper from than I did the tarot cards.
Right. Yeah.
Someone's jealous of Ramon, and who wouldn't be?
Yep. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's what I got from it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's that Chariot coming out too, like But the Three of Cups, it's like too, like maybe they're kind of like acting like they're your friend too, you know?
Yeah, I got that energy too because it's in his immediate circle, and family could be like not literal blood family. It could be your
Your
chosen
work family.
work family.
You spend more time with your work peeps
Okay,
than, yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of scary.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you pulled like that and he said that. But yeah, that would make sense. Like, hmm I like thank you for doing that. Wow. Well, I hope you know, I hope that works out for you, Ramon. But yeah, just especially like when it ramps up with the third house too, like, you know, communications and all kinds of stuff can kind of go mishap. But anyways, do we have anybody else who wants to go? Anybody else want a reading? We could probably fit in another one.
I'm next. So,
Who's next? Are you next, Jeff?
well,
What? Is that what you Let's see. I'm trying to see, did we miss anybody? Oh, Miss Tara D. You're sweet. You're sweet. If yeah, if oops. If anybody else wants to go, just let us know. Oh, Cosmic said you were next.
can I?
Do you want?
I'm good. I got to work tomorrow, so I think I'm going to cut it short. I mean,
Okay.
I'm going to head out, but
I think I already told you what was happening in your thing, right?
yeah,
With Aries. Yeah, I did. You know what, Jeff, though? What we're gonna do for you.
Oh, you didn't tell me though the full story though about like the Sagittarius part about like
I
the
told you
dream
for Aries, okay, yeah, Sagittarius rising.
the dream I was having about a former workplace.
I
But you
knew
said
it.
it would be happening in the retrograde or something because with the Sagittarius.
She had that work dream. Thank you. Okay, yeah, I didn't. So I didn't really tell you. Sag rising, because that's right, you're Sag rising. So right now you're in your career and your public image. So you know, and I was thinking about like you talking about all of the like ridiculous like calls and stuff that you're getting.
That I'm enamored of. Yeah.
And I feel like you might be reviewing your professional plans.
Like
That's that 10th house. That's Capricorn, you know.
Yep.
And then on the 14th, it's going to be in Sag, at the house of Sag, which is the 9th house. And there'd be like, so, you know, there's travel in that house. So if you had any plans, there could be some glitches there. But also you could be revisiting spiritual interests because, you know, it's the house of like higher learning and philosophies and stuff too. So don't be surprised if there's something that had interest you. The fact that you're gonna find
coming back hard for me, and I don't know why. And I'm trying to fend it off, but I used one, and I talked about this a while ago when I was 22. And I never used it since, but it told me I'd be dead at 54. So I'm wanting to go back to it and ask it again.
No. I mean, you know, we could try to tell you what to do, but you're going to do what you're going to do.
I'm just ready to like do it again and go and get it. But, yeah. But I took that Ouija board from college back home. It wasn't mine. Now I know why they wanted to get rid of it. The three girls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you don't know what was coming through for you in there.
All kinds of shit was happening.
You know, like, I mean, that could have been, I mean, yeah, I'd be cautious asking, you know, that to, and wondering who or what was coming through, really. Do you know? It planted a seed in your head,
It
obviously.
did, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it did, and it also like I used it with my mother, and it was moving. That was before she like took off and like left with another man and left my dad, and so that was when I came home from college. It's like one thing that was bad after another, another after.
Well, look what you got. I just pulled an oracle for you. 20, which these actually kind of line up to tarot numbers too. I forgot that.
Oh, they do?
20,
Okay.
yeah. Well, when it goes up to, I mean, it's just the
Oh, of
arcana.
course.
Yeah, the majors, yeah. But 20, judgment, the crossroads, a road opener, or
Oh, okay.
decisions, you know?
And that,
Yeah. And
the
and
board,
then judgment
the
is a
board, the board.
life-changing decision. And interesting that an interpersonal effectiveness skill that came out. And you're dreaming with your boss, though. I said your ego seemed healthy because you were like, no, like, obviously I did something right.
Yeah,
Like
I'm like
I
looking at
thought it
it,
was
going,
like you kind of like talking with yourself, but this guy is coming,
yeah,
like
he's coming in and he's in my kitchen downstairs. What's that about?
it's weird.
It's
Yeah,
very
totally
strange.
weird.
Yeah, you were right. You
I
were right.
told you to.
Cosmic orphan.
Well,
You see
he planted the seed in my head. So,
yeah.
but look at this. This one says, "Learn to say no." You have a right to say no, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. If saying no directly is too difficult, first validate the person's request. I understand why you want me to, blah, blah, blah. And then state your preference not to do it, but I'd prefer not to. Try it today.
That's also a trick in car sales. It's called like the
That's funny. And you said he was your old
deposit.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like a Grant
right?
Cardone method, like of dropping a nickel in or a quarter in, and then getting it back, like giving two things to get one thing back. It's
Yeah,
really weird. I'd have to look up what it's called.
right. Well, maybe there's something, like that might come up for you here or something that,
It'd be
maybe
weird.
maybe
Like
maybe you need to tell that
I,
Ouija board no.
yeah, maybe it's like working in cars again or something,
Yeah.
like working in a business development center from home. They were looking for that at one point, and I'm like,
And you had
no,
to say
I'm not
no.
going back
Yeah.
to
The
it.
other was just a joke, by the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah.
I never wanted to ask her. Yeah, I don't want to know.
Like
It just
I want the
happened when it
board. I
happened.
want the board more than I want. Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yep. Yep.
Take my chances. All
Well,
right. So
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I had so much fun, you guys. Thank you for stopping by. And the other thing is, I did do the poetry tonight, and I did do it for a non-member, a bot that you were talking about at the beginning, of which made an appearance tonight.
Oh, it
Carol,
did?
yeah. So I tried to engage with it and do a reading, and then I was advised that I shouldn't do that, so I took
Yeah.
the video down. But for those that were there, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Odelia asked, "Do you have time for Virgo ascendant?" For you,
Oh,
Odelia, yes.
yeah. 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 The Virgo ascendant, that actually, I mean, you're going to probably, I'm just going to tell you this right now because it's going to be, I
I'll
think,
be right back.
your 12th house is part of it. I'm looking at the order because I'm dyslexic sometimes with numbers, just to mention that. But right now it's in your first house, um, which can kind of have you looking like at your personal goals and stuff like that. But on the 14th, you're gonna, it's in your 12th house. So the subconscious is gonna come out and play. Pay attention to your dreams and any intuitive nudges or anything that you get. because there's you can definitely maybe get some downloads there um, with the Virgo rising. Uh, it's kind of maybe not always the most comfortable house for Virgo to be in, and being Virgo, having okay, of all things, ruled by Mercury, and then here you've got Mercury retrograde in your sign can be really frustrating when things don't go according to plan, right? But it's a time meant to slow down, and you're going to really get some strong insights about yourself and visions, which I think is really cool. Like if you can kind of expect it, just lean into it and enjoy it for what it is, and release control of that which you have no control over. All you can do is just do the best you can, and that is my advice to you. When anything transits my 12th house, and my moon is in the 12th house too, I really feel it. I really feel it, and it's funny when I'll go look, I'll forget to like check, like whatever's moving, and it's funny like how you just see these correlations. It's like this great cosmic relationship, right? And I'm like, wow, okay, that's why my dreams are crazy right now.
Did you do anything yet with Algol? Algol, the headless, like getting their head chopped off when we were in Taurus. I guess like Taurus or something or whatever. We had that, or the Algol when Trump was shot during Algol, which is like some sort of beheading of in a mythological creature or something. But
Was
it
an
has
asteroid named after her or something like that? Because I don't know the asteroids and all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
It's probably asteroid.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. And
There's a
it has
ton of those. That's hard to follow. All those. Those yeah, a ton. Yeah. No, but now I'll go down a little rabbit hole later because I'm a Gemini and I'm curious,
All right.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you guys. That was
yes.
a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we did approach it from this vantage point with the rising signs and all that. We had riffed on a couple different ideas, and it started the way I wanted it to, but I think it would have been too confusing, at least for me, to like go into
I was going, yeah, like I don't know, I didn't know how it would end.
Of the retrogrades and all that other
stuff.
I'm glad we went this way. And you should go more and more and more toward Care Bear, because she's going to be amazing at this, I think, and putting it in proper perspectives. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you all so much. All right. Bye. Thank you. Okay.